Hey Leos, welcome to your soul alignment reading where we'll see where you might be a little bit out of balance in your life and how we can get you back on track to being your best self. So we're going to start first by looking at the overall energy that's surrounding this reading for you guys right now. What's happening for my Leo collective? And we are starting out with Watchtower of the East, or Spring. And let's pull another card and see what other energies are surrounding my Leo collective for their soul alignment reading. And we have Nematona, Sacred Space. Create an altar or visit a power place to connect with the divine. So this is an interesting energy for you all. It feels as though there needs to be a little bit of grounding that happens for you. So spring is going to be a very important period of time in this alignment process, which makes a lot of sense, right? Because spring, things start warming up, things start thawing out. We're coming out of a dark and cold winter. So it feels like the time for renewal, a time for you to almost sort of refresh yourself. And I think that a part of that is going to require you to carve out this space for yourself where you can just sort of be at peace, where you can meditate, think quietly, where you're not sort of disturbed by the noise of the day to day or stresses. And again, this doesn't necessarily need to be a physical space if you don't have it available to you. You know, if you don't have room in your house or wherever it is that you live, you can go for a walk. You know, you can go outside, and I know people always joke about touching grass, but it does really have a grounding impact for a lot of people. If you're able to walk, you know, by a lake or a creek, or I wouldn't necessarily recommend walking through the woods by yourself, but if that's your thing, by all means do that. But during this springtime, in this period of renewal, it's going to be very important for you to just carve out a little bit of space and time to be quiet, to not do so much, because I think that that's when you're going to get the most clarity on what it is that you need to do going forward. So let's get into some tarot and see what other messages we can pull for my Leo collective in your soul alignment journey. So first, we're going to take a peek at how you can best get into alignment with your soul. And what we have is the Initiation and the Count Saint Germain. So what this card depicts, and there's not a really good translation for it in the traditional like Rider-Waite tarot decks, we have this group of people who sort of sitting in front of this mystical figure, and they're very attentive. They really look as though they're listening to him. So in terms of this card, it can represent a couple of things. First, it can represent your higher self, you listening to your higher self. It could also mean you connecting more with the community that you have around you, trusted friends, family, mentors, things of that nature. This could also be you literally listening to someone else who's a little bit wiser, a little bit more experienced, so that you can get some tidbits from them in terms of the path that you're taking. So again, almost like a mentor type of relationship that you might have with this person. So make sure that you pay attention to the thoughts that you have and the people that are around you, because it feels as though there's some messages that can come in for you that you may miss if there's too much noise and too much clutter around you. And we also have Birth. So with this card, it's really encouraging you to try new things, right? Your overall energy already addressed spring, where there's this sense of renewal, there's this sense of refreshing. And with Birth, it's the creation of something new. So what it feels like in terms of at least getting started on your soul alignment journey, that there's a need for you to sort of sit quietly and receive the messages that are coming in, whether it's from your higher self, whether it's from a trusted advisor or friends or people within your community. And it feels like it has to do with the initiation of something new. So if you are thinking about starting a new business, going back to school, changing where you live, starting a new job, whatever the situation is, there's an element of newness that can be helped along by listening to the wisdom of either yourself or others. So this quiet space is going to be incredibly important for you guys. Now, your soul really, with Uriel and the Sphinx, Uriel is considered the light of God, and they really help, Uriel really helps sort of release burdens and memories that you may have been carrying with you in the past. And so, super wise archangel, right? Probably the wisest of them all. So they really rely on intellect and their wisdom to guide them through. And so I think that Spirit is saying that your soul really, really wants you to be thoughtful about your next steps. Think about what it is that you truly want out of life, and then implement those sort of practical next steps that you need to do in order to get there. And again, going back into how you get into soul alignment, there are messages that are going to be coming in for you. So this is a very sort of intellectual card, right? It speaks of wisdom. And so I feel like more than anything, Spirit is saying, be smart about this. There is a path forward. The only thing that you need to do is listen to the messages that come in for you and then actually work to implement that plan. And we also have that clarified by will, wisdom, and mind. So Leos, in case you haven't noticed already, there is going to be a lot of thinking, a lot of thoughtfulness that's surrounding this reading for you. So where you may have sort of loosely considered things that you want to accomplish, the sort of goals that you've set, Spirit is saying, well, if you want that, if you want to get into alignment, you're going to have to spend some time thinking through what this looks like for you and mapping out your path to actually get there. It doesn't feel like it's going to necessarily be something that falls into your lap. So with these messages that are coming in, it's almost you taking inspired action, right? Once you sit down and sort of think through what this looks like for you, then you're going to be better able to identify those messages, those opportunities that push you forward along that path. So there's some changes that you might need to make in order to take your next step. So we have two that came out for you. We have Archangel Michael, and we also have the Buddha Prepares. So, of course, Archangel Michael is a protector, right? He is the great protector, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And he really also, again, helps us with cutting cords that sort of keep us stuck in past energy. And he, it allows us to be able to move on in our lives a lot more easily. So we already saw that, right? With Uriel and the Sphinx and, creating this sacred space, leaving things behind, sort of shutting out the noise. And so I think there's going to be a need for you maybe to release some things that you've experienced before, or like physically release people who may not be supportive, who, and that's on the nice end, maybe not being supportive, but also releasing people who are actively trying to not see you succeed in a certain area of your life. And with the Buddha Prepares, again, this is that planning element. Buddha is someone who has literally spent their life training to be this spiritual master. It's like exercising. They strengthen their muscle over time. And so for my Leos out there, the changes that you might look into making are twofold, right? So figuring out a way to heal and leave things in the past, but also making sure that as you move towards your goals, you set a very clear and stable foundation. It's almost like, when somebody like, let's say an actor or something, and they are standing on the stage at an award show and they're making their speech, and they're like, I've been preparing for this moment for my entire life. And so it feels as though that's how you need to approach this. In that quiet time, do some affirmations, envision how you would feel as if you've already met your goal. What would you do then? Like, how would you react? What would you do with that opportunity? And so you're setting the foundation and sort of keeping those thoughts in your head about what your life is like now that you've achieved what it is that you've set your mind to. It's like you are preparing to be in that space. You're not leaving any sort of room for failure. There's no doubt, especially since you are ridding yourself of the energy of past people who may have been naysayers. But this is you getting ready to live your best life. This is you expecting the absolute best and expecting to get what it is that you want. So how can you better sort of listen to what your soul wants you to know? We have the King of Keys to start. So this is the King of Pentacles in traditional tarot. So the King of Pentacles is somebody who is very balanced. They're very stable. They're very abundant. And they're not the type to really sort of do things half-assed, if you will. They're not really the type of person who, just does things on a whim. They are very careful. They are very pragmatic, and they tend to be fairly structured about their business. So they take what they do very seriously, and they're always looking to build. These are foundation builders. So making sure that, you sort of evaluate opportunities and messages that come in for you, and that you don't sort of act abruptly or act rashly about things. We also have the Four of Forces, which in traditional tarot pretty much translates into the Four of Wands. And this is spring, autumn. So there's going to be a lot happening for you in the spring, Leo. The Four of Wands is a card of foundation. It's a card of stability, right? So it's sort of creating that gateway into what it is that you want. So, fours are really about structure, about stability, creating that foundation. So listening to what your soul wants, again, is going to require some work on your part. It's going to require you creating that quiet and safe space to receive these messages that will translate to opportunities for you to achieve your goals. So the best way for you to listen to your soul is to not be all over the place, Leo. It's about sitting quietly, letting the messages come, and then being smart about how you plan to use those messages, how you plan to move forward. Another message from Spirit, we have, I am a spirit having a human experience, and I'm here to get closer to love. And so for the vast majority of my Leos out there who are watching this, I don't think that this reading is related to romantic love. It more feels as though this is related to the love of living and the love of experiencing the life that you want to lead. And it would be great to say that it's always a smooth path. It is not. We have people, experiences that sometimes trip us up because they're not necessarily in alignment with our path, which, if we deal with them long enough, throws us out of alignment with our own paths. So give yourself a little bit of grace if you've had some missteps, if you've stumbled a little bit, because you are having a human experience. And we all, at any given time, do the best that we can in trying to navigate that human experience. But as we do, we learn, we grow, and we get closer to what it is that we truly want in life. We get, hopefully, as we get smarter, more in alignment with ourselves. So Leos, make sure that you pay attention to things that happen in the springtime. It feels like it's going to be a little bit of a slow build while you prepare, while you do all of this planning. But it looks as though there's going to be something new and something wonderful coming your way, provided that you create this time and space to sit quietly and take inspired action on the messages that you get. So that's what I got from my Leo collective. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this reading, and I will see you on the next one.